Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to Literary Day with English O'Clock. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you're enjoying the series. Okay, आज की class is all about A Roadside Stand by Robert Frost. It's the complete explanation in the video. I'm going to give you a complete explanation. Without further ado, without wasting a single minute, let's get into the video and start with the explanation. A Roadside Stand. Right, let's read a little bit about Robert Frost. So Robert Frost is highly acclaimed American poet of the 20th century. He wrote about characters, people, and landscapes. His poems are concerned with human tragedies and fears, his reactions to the complexities of life, and his ultimate acceptance of the burdens. Stopping by the woods on a snowy evening, birches, mending walls are few of his well known poems. In the poem A Roadside Stand, Frost presents the life of poor, deprived people with pitiless clarity and with deepest sympathy and humanity. मैंने इसलिए एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया या कोई बैकग्राउंड नहीं दिया बिकॉज ये दो लाइंस जो हमने अभी पढ़ी हैं अबाउट रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट इज़ ऑल अबाउट द थीम ऑफ हिज पोइट्री. रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट की दिस पर्टिकुलर पोइट्री अ रोड साइड स्टैंड एज द नेम सजेस्ट. रोड साइड स्टैंड इट्स लाइक अ शैक. You must have seen a vendor selling his or her things with like a small shack like thing, like a shop kind of thing. And this shop is very particular in mountainous regions wherein when you go for a road trip you would see these small shops which would sell Maggie and water bottle and small basic things which could be required by people. So ये उन shacks की बात है. He is talking about sympathy, humanity, and यहाँ पे we will get to know how the condition of poor people is, poverty versus people who are rich. So it is always the Marxism theory of classism. We are going to talk about rich and the poor, the difference between the rich and the poor, how the rich is getting richer and the poor is getting poorer. He is going to talk about all of that. ठीक है. A roadside stand पे we all must have stopped. We all must have taken a cup of Maggie, a plate of Maggie, a water bottle from these things. And when we stop, we generally think of multiple things. बट पोएट की यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल थिंकिंग है, एक बहुत डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव है. स्टार्ट करते हैं. पोइट्री हल्की सी लेंदी है एज कम्पेयर टू ऑल ऑफ योर अदर पोइट्रीज, बट बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है एंड वेरी ईजी ऑल्सो. अगेन बहुत ईजी है. So, what the poet is saying, he's going to describe a roadside stand. Of course, if people are putting up these roadside stands, then these people are not rich. Definitely. So, these people are poor. And these poor people, in the very beautiful scenery, in the very picturesque landscape, they have set up this roadside stand. Now, the poet has some perspective on the basis of that. He wants to say something. Let's see. The little old house was out with a little new shed in front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. Sped implies speed. It's the past form. Right? A roadside stand that too pathetically pled. Pled is again plead, like request. एक बार इसको read कर लेते हैं पहले, then I'll explain. It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. Dole of bread is like a piece of bread, a loaf of bread rather. Piece से ज़्यादा होता है loaf. But for some of the money, the cash, whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. The polished traffic passed with the mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts. Out of sorts? Like out of sense. At having the landscape marred is like destroyed, destructed. That is what marred is. With the artless paint of signs that would N turn wrong and S turn wrong, offered for sale wild berries and wooden quarts. Wooden quarts are like boxes wherein you would see a lot of products, basically सेब की पेटी, kind of that wooden quarts containers, or crooked necked golden squash with silver warts similarly, or beauty rests in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money so costly? And go along. The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint, so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our being expand and give us the life the moving pictures promise, that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin are to be brought out and mercifully gathered in, to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore, while greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits, and by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. Destroy the sleeping at night the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in open prayer. For the squeal of brakes, the sound of a stopping car, of all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are, and one did stop, but only to plough up grass, in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound, and another to ask could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't. They had none. Didn't it see? No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And then next day, as I come back into the sane, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer me to put me gently out of my pain. राइट चले करते हैं अब एक्सप्लेनेशन चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं द लिटिल ओल्ड हाउस was out with a little new shed in front of the edge of the road where the traffic sped. So it's a very beautiful scenery like that, wherein you would see this very simple house, and this house has a shed, right? This is their roadside stand, and it's a very beautiful scenery. So mountains and trees and whatnot. So there is this roadside stand and the traffic is passing. So this is maybe probably a road and the traffic is passing here. Just एक pictorial representation है थोड़ा better हो जाएगा. It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. So the poet says that these people who have put up these roadside stands, these poor people, they haven't put up this stand for a dole of bread. They aren't here for food. That means they aren't here for charity. भीख मांगने के लिए उन्होंने ये stand नहीं बनाया, but for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports. So what they want is they want city money. So basically, these poor people who have set up their roadside stand, they want the tourists, the travelers, that is the city people who are using these roads, when they sorry, when they pass the place, when they pass the place with the when they pass the place in their polished cars and their beautiful cars and rich cars, they want them to just stop and purchase something from their shop, and with that purchase they would have cash, they would have money, and with that they would have a flow, cash flow, and with that cash flow they would be able to sustain their life. That is just what these people want. These people want the tourists to just take a halt, stop for a while, and make a purchase. And the moment they make a purchase, they are going to have money. That is what they want. So the poet says that the money that he's describing, the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. This is actually a metaphor. Flowers of cities, that means the development that is happening in the cities, in the metropolitan cities, it is all because of this money. And sinking, all of you know, withering. अब फ्लावर को सिटी बोला है तो जब फ्लावर डेड होते हैं तो उसको विदर अवे बोलते हैं. तो सिमिलरली अगर ये मनी नहीं होगी तो ये सिटी पीपल, दिस सिटी लाइफ, दिस मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज़, ये सब खराब हो जाएंगी, राइट? सो these cities when they are going to end and when these cities are going to destroy without money. Similarly अगर इन लोगों को भी money नहीं मिलती है, इन लोगों को भी sustenance के लिए कुछ नहीं मिलता, तो ये भी destroy हो जाएंगे, of course, because money is important for these people to sustain. The polished traffic passed with the mind ahead. So polished traffic is the city people, like the polished and the rich class, right? They are just moving on. They are not taking a pause. They're just moving on. And he says, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts at having the landscape marred with the artless paint. So अगर वो stop कर भी रहे हैं in the very first place, तो वो किस लिए stop कर रहे हैं? वो complain करने के लिए stop कर रहे हैं कि उन्होंने अपनी painting से, ये जो उन्होंने रोड साइड स्टैंड पेंट करा है, उसकी वजह से दे हैव डिस्ट्रॉयड द लैंडस्केप. दैट इतनी ब्यूटीफुल सीनरी और उस पर एक गंदा सा ये रोड साइड स्टैंड बना लिया. दे आर जस्ट to complain that how this roadside stand is actually a blot on the beauty of the place. And then they complain that these people, these poor people, they are also so uneducated and unaware that they have actually put the signs of north and south wrong. राइट आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे ऐसे माउंटेनियस रीजन्स पे ये या फिर ये जो प्लेसेस होते हैं थोड़े रिमोट, वहाँ पे टॉयलेट की स्पेलिंग गलत होती है एंड लेडीज़ की स्पेलिंग गलत होती है बिकॉज दे आर ऑब्वियसली नॉट दैट एजुकेटेड. अब नाउ what these people are selling, these people are actually selling wild berries and crooked neck golden squash with silver warts. It's like a god. Basically ghia, lauki, all these vegetables which are organically produced, all these locally produced things they are selling. मैं यहाँ पे लिख देती हूँ so that आपको भी याद रहे. These poor people wish to sell their locally produced items to the passerbys. But are they stopping? No, they are not stopping. Or beauty rests in a beautiful mountain scene. So अगर कोई रुक, पहली बात तो nobody stopping. If they are stopping also, then they are either stopping to complain or they are just stopping to realize this fact that NNS are just turned upside down, while these people have beautiful and fresh berries and beautiful and fresh gourd basically to sell all these locally produced things. Or or itna beautiful scenery hai basically. So he says you have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this grossly and go along? So he's saying to all the rich people that we know that you have money, but why are you so like stuck with your money? Like, why do you want to just keep your money so close with you? Just let it go now. Just use your money for greater benefits. So the poet says that for me this is not a hurt to the scenery. मेरे लिए complaint नहीं है, but for him so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. Here, far from the city, we make a roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our beings expand and give us the life of the moving pictures promise, and the party in power is said to be keeping away from us. So he wants his, for me, the complaint is not about the damage to the beauty or the scenery. It is about how these people are also a part of the government, like the gentry, the democracy, and these people also have this right to get their promises fulfilled, because obviously the politicians, when they came for vote, they promised them something. ठीक है, and they promised them moving picture, that is king life na, like a good life, that the a life that you see on TV, that was a life that they were promised, these politicians promised, but they are just keeping away from us. The party in our the party in power, the government is keeping away, because once the government comes in power, it pays no attention to the sufferers, to actually the poor. As I said in the initial time as well, that the rich is getting richer and the poor is getting poorer. वो bridge बढ़ता जा रहा है, because the government is also helping the rich and the poor are just poorer. They're just getting even the more poorer, right? So he's saying that for me the complaint is not about the beauty or the scenery. For me it is about they should also get their rights fulfilled. He's very sympathetic towards these poor people. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin is brother or sister, like a sibling, right? Pitiful, because they are very in a very disdain situation. They are very disappointed. These people are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the stores. So he's describing this fact that all these poor people, they are just dislocated from their places. They are asked to relocate from places, and they're asked to settle around a society or settle around a mass place. For example, a theater or a store, so that the rich people, they can hire these people as laborers for house help, for security guard, and all these XYZ things, like people who are at their jobs wherein they don't require that much money. So that is why he's saying that these people are brought from their villages and they are asked to settle in here, they are asked to just live in these places, so that these people, the rich people, the party in power, the people who have authority, they can exploit these people. इसलिए where they don't have to think for themselves anymore, while greedy good doers and beneficent beast of prey. बहुत beautiful lines है, greedy good doers. So people who are greedy, they are doing good for somebody in their own greed. They are not helping somebody out of selflessness or out of really the desire to help. And similarly, beneficent beast of prey, these people are also eyeing on these people, these poor people, that I am only helping a particular person because I want him or her to help me out. So 1 minute की help कर दूंगा और फिर I'll ask for a big favor. That is what the poet is saying, that we pretend, we as rich people, we pretend that we care for you. For the poor people, we pretend that we care for you, we want you to be successful, we want you to be we want you to flourish enough, we want you to be rich enough. But आप as a prey उन पे अटैक करने का वेट कर रहे हो as like rich people. ठीक है, swarm over their lives enforcing benefit. You just like a fly, the flies sit on sweet. Similarly, these people are also just waiting for exploiting these poor people. So the rich class is waiting to exploit the poor for their own benefit, of course. है ना? That are calculated to suit them out of their wits. And obviously, wits is intelligence, the brain. Obviously, आप इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बातों करोगे उनके साथ तो आप उनको मैनिपुलेट कर लोगे. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. उनको काम सिखाने के बाद you are just resting for yourself. You just teach them the skill and then you rest. Destroy the sleeping at night. Obviously, you are just teaching them how to do the hard work and just escaping yourself. Escaping, you yourself are escaping from all the hard work, right? Destroy the sleeping at night the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear. So the poet is feeling very, very sympathetic. The poet is sympathizing with these poor people, that I can hardly bear. I cannot even imagine the pain these people have. The thought of so much childish longing, like a child, they are just longing. They are waiting for these people to, like, he's just observing. So childish longing in vain, that means like a child, they are just longing, waiting in vain. Vain implies futile. That is when there is no result of a particular thing. Even though they're waiting for so many hours and days, but still no city person is stopping there to make a purchase, and they are not having any sort of cash flow. That sadness, the sadness that lurks near the open window there. So the sadness is like personified, that वो sadness window के पास दिख रही है, that they're waiting the entire day as if they're just praying openly. What they want is just squeal of brakes. They want to hear the noise of brakes. They want to hear the sound of a car stopping. And since they're not stopping, that is why Frost is very beautifully saying 1,000 selfish cars. And if 1% they're stopping, then what is the reason they're stopping for? Number one, they're inquiring about the prices of the things they're selling. Number two, कोई रुक रहा है तो they are just plowing up the grass and they're just using the place to take a U-turn, right? Next, if they're also stopping, then they are just stopping to ask whether they are selling gas similar to petrol. So, but to which the poet is saying that they are not selling. Can you not see? So the poet is highly sympathizing, is in utmost sympathy with the poor people, and he is taking their sides. He's like, are you not able to see that these people are not selling gas? They're selling squash, they are selling wild berries. Why are you not asking for that? आप रुक रहे हो, you're asking for money, but you're not buying anything. So the poet comes up with the solution, and he becomes a little bit cynical also, like a little bit crazy and insane towards the end, that no, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. or so the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. So he says that इस country की हालत इतनी बुरी है, and these poor people, they are living in such a bitter and a pathetic life, and they're having such a bitter and pathetic life that best होगा if we would just make them stand and we would just execute them, and or maybe just kill them in one stroke. If you're going to kill them, then their pain would just end in just one simple stroke. Their pain would end and they would be free. The very next day, when he has thought about all of these things, the very next day he comes back to his sanity, he comes back to his senses, and he's like, oh my god, what I've thought, and how did I think about these things? If we want to help somebody get rid of the pain, then killing that person isn't the solution. He says that it would be wrong if I kill that person, so we shouldn't do that, but instead we should try to help that person in a way that उसकी सैडनेस या उसकी मिजरी कम हो, ना कि वो खुद ही कम हो जाए. So he's becoming a little bit cynical towards the end, but then coming back to his senses, of course. So that's all the poetry. Let me just read it once again. आप एक बार देखो कि आपको अच्छे से properly समझ आई है या नहीं आई है. And words and lines तो मैंने मार्क ही करी हैं इसमें. The little old house was out with a little new shed in front of the edge of the road where the traffic sped. A roadside stand that too pathetically pled, it would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. But for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint, the polished traffic passed to the mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts, at having the landscape marred with the artless paint, of signs that would end turned wrong and s turned wrong, offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts, or crooked necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rests in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money and go along? The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint, so much as the trusting sorrow what is unsaid. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our being expand and give us the life the moving pictures promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. It is in the news that all these pitiful kins are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in, to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore, while greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroy the sleeping at night the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in open prayer, for the squeal of brakes, the sound of a stopping car, for all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are. And one did stop, but only to plough up grass and using the yard to back and turn around. And another to ask the way to where it was bound. So यहाँ पे directions भी पूछने के लिए रुक रहे हैं कुछ लोग. And another to ask could they sell it a gallon of gas. They couldn't. They had none, didn't it see? No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And next day, as I come back into the same, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So that would be the poetry all in all. I hope you have understood. It is a very simple poetry. कुछ ही themes हैं जो आपको ध्यान रखने हैं, कुछ ही themes हैं जो आपको अपने mind में बिठा के रखने हैं. And as we do tomorrow, we are going to discuss the poetic devices, and along with that we are going to discuss the CBSE PYQs from this particular poetry. Till then, make sure कि आप poetry को twice or thrice you just go through it. And also make sure if there are any doubts, feel free to comment down in the comment section, and I'll clear your doubts. I'll be more than happy in clearing your doubts. With this, I'm going to sign off. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to English O'Clock. I'm going to see you tomorrow with another video. Bye.